Welcome in, everybody. Greg's Weekend Rental Season 2, Episode 4. We're back. A little bit of a hiatus there. You
Yeah.
were away doing business?
Music stuff.
Business stuff.
Yeah, business stuff.
Big busy music guy. Well, you were gone. Maybe this happened before you left, actually. The NWC Gold sold for $200,000. We had talked about that, I believe, the day it sold.
Yeah.
$207,400. And at the time, it was unknown who bought it, I think.
Right.
Or at least maybe they weren't super public about it.
Not immediately.
So now what we have is over on the Fire and Ice Games YouTube channel. The guy's name is Ryan. He owns a store. That's Fire and Ice Games. I think it's in California.
Yeah.
So he is the person who bought it. He made a full 20-minute length video detailing his journey to go out to golden auctions and purchase it, his feelings, thoughts, everything about that. And what I love most about it is even when I made my video talking about the NWC Gold for $207,000, I made a short video just, oh my God, look at what it sold. And a lot of the comments are, oh great, another scam, another shadow entity, pump and dump, who we never know who purchases these things. And just from that perspective alone, Ryan coming forward and being like, hey, like, hi, I am Ryan. I'm a collector. I own video game stores. I wanted NWC Gold. This is my grail. I paid $200,000. I'm a real person.
Yeah.
That alone, I think, is a very important thing for this hobby, I guess I would say.
Just for like transparency purposes.
Yeah, just putting people behind some of these prices, just given the narrative that exists over the past 3 years.
Yeah.
You know, with Carl, Heritage, all that stuff, where I think a lot of people in the general sense believe nothing about these price tags, especially $200,000. Never mind. Even when we talk about $10,000, it's hard for people to fathom for a video game, let alone $200,000. So yeah, just transparency's sake alone, I think that's a very important thing to have Ryan come out and make this video, which I definitely recommend you check out. Fire and Ice Games YouTube channel. Check it out. They're a small channel starting up, but obviously he's putting a lot of time and money into this. He also bought the stadium events. I'm sure you saw that video too on his thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was, I don't know if he disclosed the actual amount he paid. I know the thumbnail says 160,000, but I don't think that's actually, like, I think I got baited.
Right. It's just clickbait. Yeah.
I think that's the price charts price that it says, which is not what he paid.
Right.
So, you know, I went into that video like, you paid 160,000 for... No, he didn't. Yeah, I think I got baited on that one. But it's a good video as well. High production quality. He bought stadium events. He bought NWC Gold. The man dropped $300,000 on video games in like 3 months, which is insane.
Yeah, and he's opening up a second store.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Just like, oh my gosh, man. $3,000, like $300 purchase gets me nervous. which is interesting here because with this, and you go through this video he published about his journey to pick it up, he talks about his thoughts and feelings. The first thing that caught my attention in the video is he put in his bid prior to the end of the auction. So if you don't know, Golden Auctions has like all of its pre-bidding, and then you enter into like the actual, I don't know what you want to call it, extension, sudden death, where everything has a 30-minute timer and the item starts counting down. And if another bid is placed on the item, that 30-minute timer resets. So long as bids keep coming in on something, it will stay open for a 30-minute period until there's no bid on it.
Right.
So he put in his bid well early, the way he describes it. So maybe a day early, 8 hours early, whatever. He threw in his bid. And what he bid, he didn't think he was going to win. It almost sounds like he had no intention to win. Because as soon as he's talking about it on video, he's saying he's sick to his stomach. Like as it got closer and closer. And he actually made a post on Facebook. Maybe you remember seeing this. And he admits it so much in the video that he made a post on Facebook to try and entice someone to outbid him.
Right.
Because it was like, hey, I have here's my maximum bid. If no one else bids, I'm going to win this.
Yeah. And then I'm going to be stuck on a $200,000 purchase.
Yeah. Yes. And he presented on the Facebook was like, oh, someone should bid on this. It's going too cheap. Is kind of what the Facebook post was. No one else bid. And he says in the video then immediately sick to his stomach.
Yeah.
Which then raises the question, was Ryan perhaps overvaluing it? Like, how do you think of that? Like, you place your bid early. You clearly don't think you're going to win. You post on Facebook, like, please outbid me. No one does.
Mm-hmm.
What are you thinking at that point?
You know, I think it all kind of circles back to that lack of label for me. I feel like just from a personal perspective, I'm not saying like, it's not worth what he paid, but I would not go anywhere near that price for one without a label.
You say it's not worth what he paid. It's that scary thing of auctions, right? Where it's like, at that time on that day, you were the highest bidder.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you're right. No one else wanted to pay that.
Yeah.
Maybe it isn't worth what you paid. Can you turn around and sell it to anyone?
That's difficult. I think, it might be the ultimate trade bait. You never know. You might do really well on a trade in that regard. But for me, I think that price is a little too generous for what it is.
Like, you think it is too high for a labelless?
I think so. That's just how I feel about it.
Yeah.
But I mean, obviously we have to acknowledge that it is one of the, mythical grails that one can have as a Nintendo collector. And
do you still hold it as the highest regard? Like, I know now Sticker Seal Mario is right in that conversation as well.
Yeah.
There's,
Yeah. You know what, to me, I think
stadium events we just mentioned as well.
Yeah. Stadium events, I couldn't give a crap about, honestly, because there's no cultural significance other than to niche collectors. But if you put on a table next to someone who knows what they're looking at, the first, let's say the best sealed Mario, the earliest print, best sealed Mario, next to NWC Gold with a nice label, I feel like the Mario maybe is the more significant item, just because of its relative rarity. If there were multiple Marios, maybe, I don't know, maybe it's not quite the case, but
just given that as of right now, second print is a 1 of 1.
Yeah.
And no first print exists, I believe.
Exactly.
Still.
Yeah.
And, we're seeing first prints in good condition at this point, like CIBs sell for multiple tens of thousands of dollars, like 9.0 matte sticker CIB.
Yeah.
So,
which is crazy.
It's
That's crazy.
Nuts, man, for
that was
CIB
like,
Mario.
Junk bargain bin stuff for many, many years before anyone cared. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, the whole sticker variant thing was just not widespread enough for it to. Because I remember losing a balloon fight or something. I think it was balloon fight, a gloss sticker seal on eBay, and I didn't even know what the sticker seal meant, but I knew it was like something, and it was really nice. And so I bid I thought I was overpaying already. I think I lost it for like 150, maybe 160.
Yeah.
But that was like a CIB balloon fight in like 2016 for $150.
Mm-hmm.
That's a real price, and I didn't win.
Yeah.
But I just didn't know enough about the stickers to push.
Yeah.
And that piece of knowledge in itself is really still it's not reached the masses.
Yeah.
Mario Bros is still the most common game, blah 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 blah. That's the
and that's how it was viewed for so long.
Yeah.
And probably still is by the vast majority of people.
If you're not deeper into this, it's like, why is Mario selling for money? I own that. I own one of those.
I have a cartridge of Mario.
It's literally, oh man, it's funny because I think those same people would see like the Charizard stuff where it's like first edition Charizard sells or whatever, and they'd be like, yeah, but you have an unlimited. Like they probably have that in their head.
Yeah.
But then you see the Mario thing, and they're like, well, I have a cartridge.
Yeah.
It's like,
well,
you're
that's
missing
not a first
some details. You're missing a little bit here.
Yeah. And it's funny, like it just goes to show how the relative time span and knowledge base really brings up the value of some of these items, like these, early CIBs selling for so much money. And, art was in the same boat as well. Companies were throwing it in the trash.
Yep.
Years ago. The offices of Marvel and DC in the 50s and 60s were mopping their floors with artwork that was sitting on desks. Like,
yeah, that is.
It's funny.
Sometimes you just need the time to pass.
Yeah.
And with this NWC Gold, he paid the $200,000, felt sick about it. Like the excitement did come later, but I think this likely is one of those purchases where perhaps today's price is overpaying. Perhaps $207,000. You were the highest bidder. You were the only person willing to pay that at the time. It might very well be an overpay. But I do think this will be a purchase in 3 to 5 years, 10 years from now, where you look back on it and you think, man, I'm really glad that when I did that, even though I didn't, it sounds like he didn't mean to win. Mm-hmm. It almost sounds like, I accidentally spent $200,000.
Hail Mary.
Yeah, help, I accidentally spent $200,000. Like, I do think this will come back around to be something that you, wow, I'm glad I did.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. As long as you can stomach the expense.
And he said he was selling stuff immediately in the video too.
Yeah, well, you have to make sacrifices, and that's a lot of money to tie up, but it could theoretically net him double in the next handful of years.
They're good.
So yeah,
I wouldn't be shocked to see, if we're talking 2035, that NWC Gold is sold for $1 million. Wouldn't shock me.
Yeah.
That feels within the realm of possible.
Yeah.
Now, what does that do for the labelless one? I don't know. Maybe 240, like 400,000, right? To double, but what he sold off though too. It bought the stadium events, bought the NWC Gold. People might think it's like, oh, this guy can buy anything. Like, he is selling stuff still at that price point to afford these items. It's still not like, we're not talking about a Saudi prince here.
Yeah.
Like, this isn't, this guy obviously has some degree of money, but it's not literally, oh my God, bid $200,000. Woohoo! Like,
Yeah.
there's thought. He's sick to his stomach about spending that amount of money.
Yeah.
So it still is a budget decision. Going further into the video here, an interesting thing I want to talk to you about as well here in regards to these super expensive items. He says he bought the stadium events, bought the NWC Gold. These are two grails. Stadium events, let's just say value of $50,000, NWC Gold $200,000. Both of these items he will be keeping in bank safety deposit boxes. Probably won't have them on display at the video game store. Probably won't display them in his house. It is what he said in the video. Does it defeat the whole purpose? Like, you purchase these amazing grail pieces and you can't even display them just because of their relative value. And I think the way he said it was not worth it. It's not worth displaying these because of how much risk there is.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any purpose to buying this stuff if you don't have the means, I guess, or the security to even quote unquote appreciate it for the art it is?
Well, I mean, at that point, it's a speculative asset. I mean, it always was to begin with, but I guess if you're not going to enjoy it, then it's really no different than any other investment. Like an S&P, you could buy a.
Well, is there any reason to buy it then? Like, are you just like,
Sure,
it's purely an investment and you're fine with that? Like,
sure. I mean, yeah. What's wrong with that?
I don't know. It's why not just buy an investment then? Like, there's a lot more issue with purchasing a physical asset if you're literally just going to treat it like an investment. Like $200,000, you can almost guaranteed and much more easily hold an S&P at XQQ, whatever you want to buy on the stock market, without then having to deal with the physical risk of having this.
Yeah, it's true. I mean,
he's one break-in away from losing $200,000. Hence why it has to sit in a safety deposit box.
Right. But you're also looking at other things it does for you, where you're one of the only few people in the world to own this rare item, and it kind of brings a sense of legitimate prestige with it too, because you're collecting focused.
Yeah, is that ego that's worth it? Like the dopamine hit of the purchase?
Well, clearly it wasn't a dopamine hit in this case.
Do you own stuff that's too valuable?
Yeah, probably.
Like, you would say that where you don't feel comfortable displaying it, or
I do think about that sometimes. Yeah, for sure. But it is what it is. I have it and it's there, and
you don't have intent of getting rid of stuff like that?
I would consider it, but not in the short term.
Okay.
Yeah. But it does weigh on me sometimes when I think about, all the stuff, all my collection stuff sitting around. I'm sure, you think about that too.
I do.
It's like, what if the house burns down? What if
I have some games where it's like, I shouldn't own this. I shouldn't. It's too much money wrapped up in a spot where, again, I'm not displaying it. I don't even feel safe having it in my house. Yeah. And I do think that at that point, I kind of do think it's bad. I kind of do think it defeats the whole purpose if you can't. Like, I do understand the chase, the collector, you want to do this. And even in this video, he says he wants to be part of history of the item. That provenance that at one point in time, I purchased this. This was, I am part of this NWC Gold's history provenance chain. In the future, it'll be like, oh, it's purchased by Ryan on 207,000 golden. Like, here's Ryan.
Yeah, you're immortalized. Yeah.
Yeah. I almost think you're chasing something like that.
Yeah.
At that point.
And it's a communal aspect too. Like, when you do traditional stock investments or whatever, there's no real fun in that or community aspect to it. It's just kind of, you do it in a vacuum based on the knowledge you have at the time. And I think when it comes to collecting, you're kind of involved with other people in the matter. You're always buying, selling, trading with other people. It's fun. It's a way to kind of communicate with other people in a way.
I mean, we're talking about it now.
Yeah.
We're sitting here, discussing it and talking about it. So I guess in cementing that legacy, It just, I don't know. I almost want to get to a point where my collection doesn't have anything where I'm too scared to display it or do something with it
Yeah,
or
but
like
then if you're not
enjoy
climbing
it.
the mountain, what's the point?
I know. It's that continual chase of better and better and better and better.
Yeah.
Because I also do want to get, like, I would love to own a first edition PSA 10 Charizard. Would love to do that. It's like $150,000, $200,000. I would love to display that in my house if I owned one. But like,
But is it worth it?
right?
Is like how much of your net worth tied up in that one little item? Yeah, worth it.
Yeah, it's just one broken window away from someone, like, putting it in their pocket and just walking out. And I don't know how to, like, justify almost that decision or that thought process of having stuff that valuable.
Yeah.
I guess I'm just not that rich. I guess that what it comes down to.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not
Can
that
you
rich.
stomach losing it?
Yes.
Yeah.
And no. I absolutely
I
cannot. Maybe just display a proxy. That's what you should do at this point.
Yeah.
Like, just
it's not the
display a
same,
fake
though.
one. I know,
It's not the same.
but it's like how if you own an NFT, like if you own a Bored Ape, a lot of people will get like a picture of it put on the wall.
So stupid.
It's very stupid. But hear me out though.
It's always stupid to begin with.
If you own the NWC Gold or you own this first edition Charizard, if you know you have the ownership, just display a fake one. Most people won't know anyway, but you know, like,
But you know.
Does that count? Yeah, does that
You know.
count? It's like when people ask if, like, oh, you want a CIB game, just display a box or something, or just display a fake box with the real game inside, and no one will know anyway. I agree. You know.
I'm sure there's some fascinating PhD study on like the psychology of collecting and why we do this, but at the end of the day, it's like it's fun. It's just fun. And if you have to have that collecting mindset to begin with to make it fun. Otherwise it's just, I think most people probably think it's a grind.
Yeah.
You're just like searching eBay and trying to like buy crap all day, and you're like,
I think
that
at
doesn't sound fun.
higher level, it is a grind.
Yeah.
That is the best way to put it. If you're chasing the best, if you're trying to upgrade, if you're continually snowballing, buying,
Yeah.
selling,
Yeah,
like,
because then your prospective sales and all that go down a lot, because who's out there buying items of that level? Very few people.
Yep, it's you're grinding. You are like it's a second job.
Yeah, I do know people actually who really focus on that kind of 1 to 10 area of value, like $1,000 to $10,000.
Okay,
in
yeah.
whatever area they're in.
Yeah,
because like it's just plain easier to sell stuff in that
It's
range.
funny you say that. I think it's like a big time thing too, where I honestly don't even want to deal with stuff under $50 anymore.
Yeah.
Because it's like,
Well,
man,
it's not worth it.
posting it to eBay, dealing with buyers, dealing with all this, and maybe other people will agree or not with this, but when you sell cheap stuff, the amount of issues you have, man, goes up so much more.
Yeah.
There's way more issues
Because it
with
becomes a
sub-$50.
volume game.
It just, and I don't even think it's that. I think just a lot of people who are buying stuff, say $30, $20, $10, you get picky people.
Penny pinchers.
I don't want to say any other kind of words or anything. It's just like, I think you get a certain demographic of people who are very particular when the money amounts just aren't worth how nitpicky people are being.
Yeah.
And, selling stuff for hundreds, and if not thousands, the amount of issues I've ran into are just so little.
Yeah.
And I don't
It's
blame
true.
anyone for wanting to just like not deal with that side of things.
Yeah.
Upgrading to a higher end, if you are going to be in the market buying, selling and stuff, it's just, oh man, it's better. It's better in every way. Like,
Yeah.
Obviously you need the capital and the money, the resources and stuff. I'm not just saying, oh, just start buying and selling more expensive stuff. Easier said than done. But I'm sure a lot of you can agree that when you're doing the $10 to $50 sales, that's a grind and a half. You're like grinding on overtime.
Yeah, it's true. And I really do think a lot of it when I'm buying something in particular, it's like, well, what's the future resale value? If it's only like 30-40%, it's like, is that even worth it? Unless it's a high amount, then that can be significant. But if it's not, if you're looking at sub $1,000 and you're only going to make like $200 on it, it's like, what's the point of putting in that effort?
Yeah. And I think that's where Ryan's at with his collecting in general, with like picking up the stadium events, picking up NWC Gold. I guess what I want to know at this point is like, what's next?
Yeah.
Where do you go from there?
Yeah.
The first video was stadium events. His second video was NWC Gold. Like, what's his next upload going to be?
New store.
What is that? I guess $1 million on a new store, hey?
Yeah.
Or whatever it's going to cost him. It just keeps going up from there.
Yeah.
Insanity, though. $207,000. I'm curious on opinions. Curious to hear more opinions on this. If you guys are watching on the YouTube, make sure to drop one below. Good purchase, bad purchase, paid too much. Is this something that's going to appreciate? What do you think? And if you're on the audio, make sure to rate and subscribe. What do you do?
Do all this stuff.
Yeah, do all of it. Leave a fan mail too. But
Yeah.
It all helps out. Appreciate you guys listening. Let me know your thoughts on NWC Gold, and I will see you in the next one.